Hey, welcome back to Atypical Talk. This is a podcast where we have conversations that illuminate the intersection of faith, culture, and the common spaces of our humanity. I'm Abby.
And I'm Joel. And today we have a special guest with us, Lydia Standish, who is a part of our church at Bridgeway, an incredible leader and a public educator. And we thought it would be great to have her join us for some of these conversations as we're talking some about school and what that all looks like in our country currently. So Lydia, thanks so much for hanging out with us on your spring break.
Yes.
The hard work of coming in, you know, and doing that. So we're so grateful that you're here with us and we're excited to have these conversations. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your specific role as a public educator and what you love about it?
Sure. Well, I am very flattered I was asked to be on this because I feel like I was maybe one of your very first listeners.
Oh, man.
I mean, you know, no pressure here for me. But anyway, no, I'm a developmental preschool teacher, which is preschool special education. So I work with students ages 3 to 5 in the public school setting that have special needs. And my background is I have a degree in special education and I have a minor in early childhood special education. So I'm pretty much can cover from birth to grade 12 to teach. And I've kind of dabbled in all of it, but the majority of my career has been spent with the birth to 5-year-old.
Okay, so that preschool, you know, toddler preschool time, man, I'm sure that just over the last years that you've been doing that, it's changed a lot. Like, what are some of those big shifts that you've experienced in special education, developmental education?
Well, certainly I've seen the need grow. I mean, I feel like students' early intervention is so important, and if I can get on my soapbox here, and so identifying these students earlier has really changed how it all looks and has made it a way to get to students earlier, to help them to figure out what they need as they head into their schooling, as they progress through school. So that part, probably the coolest thing I've gotten to be a part of is seeing the use of AAC devices, so alternative augmentative communication devices, iPads with communication apps, giving those to students, 3, 4, 5-year-olds that aren't yet verbal, giving them a way to communicate. Wow. And I've also have some students that have used eye gaze devices. So they're not able to use their hands or their fingers to access these devices, but they can use their eyes. So to see, a 3-year-old able to tell us what he wants to do or what show he wants to watch or, tell a joke or whatever that is, using his eyes, that's been a really significant and really cool thing to be a part of.
Wow, some that's interesting awesome. Uses of technology. Which we'll talk about today. Yes. So that's awesome.
So before we get into our first topic, I want to ask the question, if you had to get rid of your phone, computer, or TV, which would you choose and why?
I mean, it'd be the TV for me because I can watch things on my phone or my computer. Naturally. I mean, so much of my work is communication and in like content creation and stuff like that. I just can't imagine not being able to communicate through my phone or use my computer for work and preparation for what I do at the church. And TV, it's just a bigger version of those screens, right? That would be it. And I could still see movies, right? Because that's not a TV. Right. So I could go see a movie.
I guess
Look at my loophole. I found a loophole. Look at that. But that would be my thing. And I wouldn't have to fight my kids over what shows they're watching on the TV in that way. Yeah. So that'd be nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I would do the TV, which I was of the TV generation. I mean, sick days home from school, I'm watching Price is Right.
Oh, yes.
The soap operas come on. Like, I loved TV, but there are days that go by that I don't even turn it on anymore. Yeah. But I have my phone. I have my computer. We can scroll
on our phones until it falls on our face.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes. So I would have to go with the TV as well. What about you, Abby?
Yeah, I mean, I have been thinking about this question all morning. I had such a hard time because...
You're a video gamer, too.
Yes, I do play video games, but my big thing with TV, like, I've been this way since I was little. Like, if a new trailer comes out for a movie or, a new music video comes out that I want to watch, I will wait until I can get home and turn it on the TV because I want to watch it on the full screen. I don't like watching movies on my phone or my computer. And so I really like the TV, but I think I'm going to have to go with that because just the convenience of phone and laptop is too much at this point. Yeah. The
It's everything.
Yeah.
Sadly. as we'll talk
Unfortunately,
about.
the TV is just, when I get home at night and have time to relax, but the other things are with me constantly. So our first article today is a Guardian article titled Switching Off. Sweden says back to basic schooling works on paper. At the start of this school year in Sweden, many of the teachers started putting a new emphasis on printed books, quiet reading time, and handwriting practice, and devoting less time to tablets, independent online research, and keyboarding skills. The return to more traditional ways of learning is a response to politicians and experts questioning whether Sweden's hyper-digitalized approach to education, including the introduction of tablets in nursery schools, had led to a decline in basic skills. Although Sweden students score above the European average for reading ability, an international assessment of fourth grade reading levels highlighted a decline among Sweden's children between 2016 and 2021. There's clear scientific evidence that digital tools impair rather than enhance student learning. Sweden's Karolinska Institute, a highly respected medical school focused on research, said in a statement in August on the country's national digitalization strategy in education. Not all experts are convinced Sweden's back to basics push is exclusively about what's best for students. Criticizing the efforts of technology is a popular move with conservative politicians, Neil Selwyn, a professor of education at Monash University in Melbourne, Australia, said. It's a neat way of saying or signaling a commitment to traditional values. The Swedish government does have a valid point when saying that there is no evidence for technology improving learning, but I think that's because there's no straightforward evidence of what works with technology, Selwyn said. Technology is just one part of a really complex network of factors in education. So you talked a little bit about how you've seen screens help specifically the students you work with. So what were your thoughts about this article?
Well, it's really interesting because I do think there has to be a balance. I mean, I do teach preschoolers. We love to look at books and we do lots of hands-on learning, and that's so important for them developing fine motor skills, gross motor skills, cognitive thinking skills. But yes, I have seen the benefits of the tablets, and especially with those communication apps. And I think as you look through all the grades and talking to a lot of my teacher friends that teach a variety of grade levels, there has to be a balance. Technology shouldn't replace instruction. Can it supplement? Yes. Has it made the job of a teacher easier to assess data and modify their teaching because they get quicker feedback from students? That's all been a big benefit to it. But you also, we don't want students so dependent on technology that they aren't building interpersonal skills, that they aren't learning how to problem solve and think critically without a device. Mm-hmm. So it's always fluid, right? Education is always ever changing. And so I think as teachers, I don't know any teachers that I know are going to do what's best for their students. And so they're going to use the technology in ways that are going to benefit their students and their learning. But I think they're going to hold on to a lot of those traditional ways as well, because we know what works.
It's interesting because you consider like that balance that I think everyone would agree that technology should be a tool in education. It shouldn't be like the foundation of all that we learn and how we learn. But when kids have unfettered access, and when it's used as a pacifier, when it's used as I'm never going to be bored because I have my device and my screen in front of me at home or outside of the classroom, it's got to be a challenge just with the attention spans and how long students can engage in something not on a screen. Right. I just think about that. I think back to even my undergrad experience in college. They were introducing some online things at the very end, so it was a very new thing. But like I think now, like most of the time I sat in front of like a 50-minute lecture and I'm taking notes on a lecture. Kids that are going through education systems in elementary, middle school, high school, now when they go to college, do they even have the attention span to like listen and engage in a lecture for that long of a period of time, when a lot of them don't even watch TV shows, they watch TikToks that are shorter and very fast-paced, moving and things. I just wonder like how much of a challenge it's going to be, a growing challenge, to strike that balance when kids are almost pre-wired and wired differently.
I mean, it has changed how children's brains are.
Yes, I think
formed.
the facts are out about that.
Yes.
Yeah, the pathways they're just so much quicker. I think we actually have seen. I read one study that the average attention span has decreased like in the last 5 years, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a fact. That is a crazy reality.
And I think every teacher would agree that is the biggest challenge. But I find myself doing that too. If your phone is there, you look at it, so I make myself put it away a lot of the times, sitting, waiting at a doctor's office or whatever,
of course,
you just pull it out and start scrolling. And I'm like, I don't have to be on my phone all the time. So, but I'm an adult and can make that decision. Kids, it's harder. But it does, I do go back to when I get a new student, when I talk to the families to get to know the child, and I say, what are some of their favorite toys? What do they enjoy doing? What's a song they like? Trying to get to know them. And I have had parents say, oh, well, his favorite toy or her favorite toy is her tablet. And I'm like, it just, that makes me sad if that is the toy that a 3-year-old chooses, So some of that, obviously in my classroom, like I said, we do lots of hands-on things. So tablets are not really used for toy purposes. So, but that part, I hate to see that being a kid's favorite toy.
Yeah. So these things can help and they can hurt.
Right.
And it's about striking the balance.
Definitely.
But it's just an ever increasing challenge when home, it maybe doesn't have those same guardrails.
Right.
So what do you think about the recent law that passed in Indiana, specifically about banning cell phones during school hours inside of schools? Like, how is that going to be policed? How do you think that will change? How will that change the culture of that block of time at school? And how's it going to change education?
I think it's going to be a challenge. And I think you'll get some pushback from parents that want to be accessible to their child, and yet we have to say, but they're here for their education, and during these hours, this is what their time needs to be dedicated to.
Well, when I was a kid,
yeah, exactly.
You called the office and you can get a hold of
get a
message to them, right?
Right. But I mean, I think teachers, it'll be interesting. I don't really know how they'll implement it, but I think teachers overall will be really happy to see this in place. So we can have that focused attention. But again, it goes back to how are they going to put it into effect, and how do you police it? I don't know. Is it up to the teacher to police it? Is it up to the administrators? Is each school going to set a guideline? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
It'll also be interesting when the teacher is behind their desk on their phone, what the students say about that when they're like looking down, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel for those teachers that have to enforce that coming up, because it is not going to be a fun start to the
you
school
think
year.
about like the way that, our brains are wired differently for that feedback and how quickly we can see things and know things. I mean, I know people that they freak out if they don't have their phone on them, if their phone's not working, like they're like, what is happening? And that's because it's neurologically changed us. So they're here to stay. I'm encouraged that these conversations seem to be happening more often, of like, okay, these things are changing us. Let's talk about using them wisely and realize that like these things are affecting us in ways that are going to affect a future generation as a workforce and as people in our society. So let's have the conversation about tactile learning and technology. Let's have the conversation about phones during the middle of the day for middle schoolers and high schoolers. Let's have the conversation, even that's happening in Florida now, about like social media accounts for kids under the age of 14. Let's have those conversations, because technology has just moved so quickly.
So quickly, yes.
And I don't think we ever stop and ask ourselves, should we have done this in the moment? So let's slow down a bit and let's have these questions, because it's going to affect our kids and our grandkids and the next generation for sure. So,
and they do a lot at schools, at least the school system I'm in, with digital citizenship and teaching students how to be safe and how to police yourself and what's, all of those things. And so, and I'm sure every school district does something related to that. So I think that is us being proactive and trying to make sure that students are aware of the dangers.
So our next topic today is a WTHR article titled, "Here's How Blind and Visually Impaired Students Will Experience the Total Solar Eclipse." So the solar eclipse will be happening this Monday, April 8th, and during a solar eclipse, the moon will pass between the Earth and the sun will cast a shadow on the Earth, blocking out the sun. The next solar eclipse visible in the U.S. is not expected until August of 2044, according to NASA. Students at the Indiana School for the Blind and Visually Impaired will be able to witness the eclipse by touching it with a device called a Cadence Braille tablet. The device is made up of 1,536 tiny dots that sync with a computer to create live motion Braille. When the moon goes over the sun, you can feel that moving across the screen, one student said. You can actually feel the moon moving across the screen over the sun. The device is manufactured by Tactile Engineering in West Lafayette. A spokesperson from the company said the goal of the tablet is to provide some sense of what we take for granted as sighted people, and provide that via the primary sense that blind people use, which is touch. She also said it will help level the playing field by giving blind and visually impaired students a way to complete e-learning projects along with their sighted peers who already take home a school-issued laptop. So what did you guys think about this story and like this device? I had no idea this was even a thing that could be made.
No, I was so excited when I heard it. And I hadn't heard about it either. And I have right now currently on my caseload 5 students that are blind, low vision. And so I was so excited, and I was really excited that this was a company right here in Indiana that does this. So what an amazing way to give students, to give adults, anyone with visual impairments, a way to feel more included and more a part of what everyone else is experiencing. So I was fascinated. I did a really deep dive on how it all works, and I think it's amazing. Amazing.
I'll link this article in the show notes so people can see the videos and how it actually works, but I thought this was so cool.
Yeah, I'm just kind of struck by like whoever idea this was, like to be like, okay, there's this thing that everyone's going to be seeing, and I just think back to like the beginning of that for somebody to be like, oh, but they can't experience this. And I think so often I can just stop my journey in these conversations with not even considering that somebody else can't. So like the whole thing started with somebody actually thinking about the eclipse and being like, oh, you know, those people, and thinking outside of our own experiences, those people can't. And I'm like, I'm just sort of struck by that, like that alone of being like, not just thinking about this is going to be cool for me and my family and those who, you know, have eyesight and those kind of things. And then like stopping and being like, oh, but they can't. And then to take it a step further from that to be like, okay, what would it look like to create a version of this so that this group of people that is excluded can experience that. And to put the creativity and the ingenuity and the engineering into that is just really beautiful. To like go just beyond thinking about how this affects me and people that are just like me. Kind of blown away by that. And I just think that's such a beautiful, simple, I say simple, I'm sure it was very complex, but it was just a beautiful, like simple action in our minds to be like, oh, they can't. There's a group that can't. And I love that so much. And like you mentioned, making this an inclusive event for everybody. I love that right now there seems to be a push in our culture to be considering these kind of experiences for people that can't experience it the same way. And let's not actually just be like, oh, shucks. I don't know why I said something like my grandma would say. Oh. But let's do something about it. And I think that's really awesome. And I love that so many people can experience this, even if they can't see or they're visually impaired in that way, because it is a cultural phenomenon moment for us here, especially right here in Indiana.
Well, and I feel like it's a catalyst, right? Like maybe wanting to experience the eclipse was what prompted it, but to look at what that can do for these individuals to experience lots of new things that they hadn't been able to. So yeah. And I go back to, you know, the difference between awareness and acceptance.
Ooh, talk about that.
Yes. Well, and we talk about awareness, you know, right now it's April. And so there is the discussion of autism awareness and autism acceptance and whatever disability awareness and acceptance. And awareness, I go back to that. Awareness is being, I see you, you're here. And acceptance is, I see you, you're here, and I'm glad you're here. And I want to make you feel welcome here. So, what does this speak to except that, not just awareness, but acceptance that, we see you and we want you to get to experience what we're experiencing.
Yeah, I love that. And then taking that a step further to be like, we're better because you're here too. Like we're stronger because you can experience this and that you can be a part of this as well. I love that so much. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Well, with it coming up this Monday, I was talking to my husband about this. He's on a team of photographers that NASA has recruited to take pictures of the eclipse.
Hold the phone for a second,
cool.
by the way. Like that sentence is the greatest humble brag anybody could ever say on their spouse ever.
Yes.
What, he's been recruited by NASA? Like the
And
NASA?
you're sporting your NASA shirt.
Oh,
too.
yes.
This is all planned. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So next Monday, we're going to find a place where we can, see the totality for as long as possible so that he can take pictures of it. But I was talking to him and he wanted to provide like a list of, things to be able to watch it safely and, not be afraid of it. Cause I know there's a lot of, this is the end of the world type of stuff going on. But he gave me some information about the eclipse. So his first thing is never, ever look at the sun without proper safety equipment. Ensure that glasses are certified for safe viewing. I will include in the show notes what specific glasses you need because it's a bunch of numbers that no one will ever remember. So I will include those numbers.
I have glasses. I'm good, right?
It is not just normal sunglasses or anything like that. But I've seen Walmart selling them and Kroger and Meijer and Amazon. So I'm sure you can get them all over there. And then also be careful taking photos of the sun, not during the totality. You could burn your camera's lens or camera's sensor with direct sunlight.
My Apple Care won't cover that, will it? Oh, man.
No. I don't think Apple will replace for you not listening to rules for the eclipse. And then also make sure to plan ahead. If you're traveling, it will be chaotic. Traffic will be bad getting to your destination and even worse leaving. So he says arrive at your destination early, bring snacks, food, water, and plan to relax after the eclipse to let the traffic die down. Depending on your location, cell service may become overwhelmed by all the people at a single location. And so he says to download or print out maps and directions to get to and from your viewing
MapQuest.
location.
We're taking it back.
Throwback.
Printing out maps.
That stresses me out because if I'm riding next to him, I'm not going to be able to tell him which way to go based off of a map.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, man. See, I remember when my wife and I first started dating, when we'd go out of town, we would print off MapQuest that had, like, basically it was GPS instructions. Oh, you're going to do this for 2.3 miles and turn right on this road?
Yeah.
Oh, man, the fights that we got into by the end of it, where we were just like,
real
we're on the wrong step. Oh, no. We're going back because of the eclipse. That's amazing.
And then lastly, he says, have fun. The eclipse is for many a once-in-a-lifetime experience that can be life-changing. Make sure to give yourself time to just look up, take it all in, and enjoy the eclipse. Be safe and have fun. But I'm really looking forward to Monday. I think it'll be so fun. I think it'll be awesome getting to experience this. I remember back when it happened, I don't know,
20
last
years
time.
ago, right?
Yeah. Well,
2017.
Oh, there was
Yes.
something
Yeah.
in 2017?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe that's...
We weren't in the path the same way in 2017.
Yeah,
right?
but when I was in Ohio, I was able to see, a partial eclipse then, and I think it'll be so much different getting to see the full eclipse being in the totality. It'll be eerie, I think.
How long? How long is it going to be pitch black?
Isn't it 4 minutes for the total
totality? If you are in like the center of the totality, it'll be like 4 minutes. But I think for here, it's like maybe 2.5 minutes. He also sent me a map so that you can see how long it'll be and like where you'll be able to see it and stuff. So I'll link that in the show notes as well.
I'm just going to go chasing the totality.
There you go. Follow our eclipse expert. That's great. And I want to know, do you have a playlist of all the like total eclipse of the
that's good. Dark
Here
Side of the
comes the
Moon.
sun.
Like Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I can really go deep on this. I can make this happen.
You might need to attach that to the show notes.
We can make that happen.
Seems like
that's
something.
good. That
Get
sounds like
working on that before the episode.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
I really need. We will post a Spotify playlist for your eclipse listening.
There you go.
Perfect.
I'll put all my knowledge to the real work there. All I know is that this eclipse means that it's the end of the world and that Jesus is returning, and that's my conspiracy theory of
there we go.
the day, or bad Bible reading. I don't know which one it is, but anyway.
Okay.
Which leads us into...
Yes, our conspiracies. So what is a low-stake conspiracy that you kind of believe? I linked an article that has a bunch of ridiculous low-stake conspiracies.
Some I could agree with.
I love it. They're so funny. Can we read a couple of
go ahead,
the low
Joel.
stakes
I was trying
conspiracies?
to pull it up, but it won't let
Oh
me.
my gosh, I loved it so much. Low stake conspiracies. I think that Big Vegetable wants us to eat more vegetables because they want us to be healthier so we can live longer and buy more vegetables.
There you go.
I think they're in on it. They're in on the whole thing. I love this. British people, they lose their accent when they sing. Proves that they're just doing it for attention in the first place. I love that one as well. There's so many of these. I think antivirus software is probably spyware that you pay for. That makes a ton of sense whenever they try to get us with that. Oh man, there's so many good ones. McDonald's mandates changes to their interior designs every couple years, so franchisees are forced to do maintenance on the fixing up the thing. So yeah, low stakes. I got a low stakes conspiracy theory. Can I share mine?
Yeah.
I think that everybody is lactose intolerant. It's just some people are tougher than others.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
really mine, because
Yeah.
I'm like, who feels good after eating a bunch of ice cream or a ton of cheese? Nobody. I just think that some people are tougher than others,
you
and
go.
don't have to let everybody know I'm lactose intolerant. I'm sorry, the people that are actually lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
Please don't hate me. It's just a joke, but that's mine.
Yeah, I like that.
Mine's food related too, but I do love Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh, the best,
That
Lydia.
I feel like the seasonal ones are even better.
They are.
Oh,
like
yeah.
when they're different shapes, like the egg shape, the heart shape,
Yeah.
the tree shape. I mean,
The tree, there's just more peanut butter, and the ratios are all different.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
really what
it
they're
really
better.
it really is.
So around the
that's-
holiday, Reese's does
Yeah,
it.
yeah, they do. So that's my. Of course, it's food related. but-
Yeah. There was one on this list. It was something like the cup that comes with your laundry detergent. It tells you to put in more than you actually need to. I totally
run out
believe
of
that
it.
because sometimes I use the recommended amount and my clothes feel like soap afterwards. And so I use like half the amount and they're clean, they're fine. So I think they're just telling you to use more
Right,
so
so
that you
you-
run out
right, so
and
you have to
buy
buy
more.
more.
Yeah.
They know
yeah.
what they're doing. There's one more that I loved. It. McDonald's makes huge wagers on pork futures. If they can't sell for a profit, they take delivery and bring back the McRib. So that's when the McRib comes back, is when they need to make some more money because they lost some money on
Yeah,
pork
because it
futures.
doesn't seem to be
It
any
never
rhyme or
is a
reason.
time. McDonald's is doing their own math, man. It's crazy. I love it.
So our last topic today is an NBC News article by Callahan Rosenblatt titled "Unfounded Conspiracy Theories Spread Online After Baltimore Bridge Collapse." Outlandish conspiracy theories circulated on X after a container ship collided with a major bridge in Maryland, causing it to collapse early Tuesday morning. The ship hit a supporting structure of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which is located southeast of the Baltimore metropolitan area. As rescuers search for survivors, some online conspiracy theorists have attempted to uncover a non-existent plot to explain the collision. Some on Tuesday claimed that the shipping vessel came under cyber attacks or that COVID-era lockdowns were to blame. There have been no reports suggesting that any of these conspiracies are remotely true. Many also say the crash was deliberate or that drugs were involved. So what do you think it is about these disasters that causes people to just immediately jump to creating conspiracies?
I think that the world is very complicated and people feel out of control. And I think conspiracy theories are like this one thing behind this thing that makes linear sense, and it actually is something they feel like they can understand and control. And I think there's this desire when things are out of our control to get our arms around it and make sense of it. And I think conspiracy theories take things that are very complicated and make it very simple,
Simplified.
like stupid simple, you know? And I think that's why we come up with these things, because the world is big, it's complicated, the systems of bureaucracy and laws and all these different jurisdictions are so confusing, and you have to be an expert to understand things, but the internet's made it to where we don't really feel like experts are valuable anymore. And I think that's why we run towards conspiracy theories. And since probably 2016 and then definitely into COVID, there's just been so many crazy world events that have happened that I think we just run towards the simplified version, which a lot of times it sounds ridiculous, but you're like, but maybe that makes sense. If there's one person behind all of this, or if the Illuminati's controlling everything. Did I do that right for the cameras? I'm sorry. I did my Illuminati side. I hope somebody gets a screenshot of that. But I think that's a part of it, is because when things are out of our control, we grasp for certainty, even if it's absurd, because certainty is more attractive to us than mystery and admitting that we don't know everything. That's my take on it, at least.
Well, and my brain doesn't typically go straight to a conspiracy theory, but my life events haven't led me to think that. But for some people, they have had life events that there are people they can't trust. They don't know what will happen next, or, so they... Maybe that's why they turn to it more than I'm just like, oh, this was a tragic accident. This was human error. This was, mechanical malfunctions. That's what I go to. So
I think that's really good, Lydia, because I didn't consider that. But the idea of, I feel like most institutions for my life have benefited my life, not brought more chaos or hindered the development of my life. But there are a lot of people that have needed institutions to step in, and they have seen a corrupt reality of it, or it did not benefit them. It sort of felt like it was bent against them.
Right.
A lot of institutions, whether that be government or in business or any other apparatus, where people are like, oh yeah, they're not there to help us, because that was their life experience. And so when there are these big things happen, maybe they're like, well, if government didn't come through for us here, they're probably not looking out for us there either. And I think, considering that's good. That's a good empathetic lens for me to.
I try to look at it through a good eye.
A good eye is
Somebody
good.
taught me that once.
Somebody taught me about the old good eye too. Think the good thing. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but yeah, it was crazy how quickly the conspiracy theories came out, and how people were tying everything from, an election or COVID or Illuminati and somebody on drugs. It was just wild how this happens, and it was really indiscriminate, towards one type of person, and we've seen this. I mean, I've heard so many stories of people feel like they've lost family members into this whole world of conspiracy theories and this whole thread that they're holding on to, whether it be the popular ones like QAnon or other conspiracy theories as well. It's really wild.
So how can we as Christians look at these disasters and events differently and not fall into believing these theories and, get stuck in that rabbit hole?
I don't know. I think we should just grab one word in one Bible verse, rip it out of context, and tie it to every event, and then we're going to see it all clearly, right? That's how it all works. I think it's hard for us to claim that we follow Jesus being the way, the truth, and the life, and then not check and verify and look into things and share them without even knowing they're true, right? I think the speed of our world has been a hindrance to this, because people will see something and it agrees with their things that they presuppose about things, and then they just post it. The amount of times I've had conversations with people, did you hear that? And I'm like, my first thought is, who said that?
Right.
But they don't even care. And I'm certain with my own biases as well, like I probably have done that same thing. Did you hear this? And I didn't even look into, who was posting it. So I think slowing down is something that's really helpful.
That's key. I like that.
Like slow down instead of just sharing something. Look into it and ask the question, who is the source? Right. Is this a source that is like a respected news source, or is this a source that says liberaltears.com or rightwingconspiracy.com, right? To where they're definitely coming at a slant to try to get you to pile on something, and maybe they don't have a good faith argument to the conversation. So I would say, Christians, slow down and make your spirit in sharing things and talking about things, not I want to own this other group of people and I want to make them look stupid, or I want to be on the inside of the information when everybody else are the sheeple. Like slow down and don't walk with pride about these things, but ask questions like, who's saying this? And do they have an angle to this? Is this something that will benefit other people, or is there something that's just going to puff me up in pride, like I've got the insider information? So I think that would be a helpful place to start. Any other thoughts?
I don't know. I think a lot of it, like when I see things like this and people immediately start making theories, I have to stop and be like, well, what about these people that were injured in this? Why aren't you thinking about them first and how it could hurt their families and stuff like that when you start like creating theories? I mean, people are going to create theories no matter what, but just stop and think about how it affects those who were actually affected and actually hurt or killed in these instances.
Yeah, that's really good to consider. Like, this is not a TV show that we're watching, seeing what happens next, and we're not like watching reality TV. These are real people with real lives that are going through something. I think that's always a helpful step back in our over-entertainment society. Well, Lydia, thank you so much for coming in and having this conversation with us. It was really delightful. Thanks for your insights and for the way that you lead in the public schools. Thanks for the way that you partner with God and the way that you care for children and their families in our community. And we just really appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Well, that's it for this episode of Atypical Talk. If you have any topics you'd like us to talk about or questions, you can email those to atypicaltalkpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at atypicaltalkpod. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to get updates when new episodes go live. We hope that these conversations today have helped you think wider, love deeper, and partner with God to bring the up there down here in your everyday life. Thanks for listening.
Guys, did you hear that if you stare at the eclipse for 7 seconds, you'll live 10 years longer? I just read it. Spread the news.
Yeah, there you go.